Okay, well, I didn't write my intro, so here we go.
Okay.
Welcome. I am so happy to have Anita Roelz of Circle Stone Designs and Christine Peters of Christine Peters Jewelry here with me in the barn today. Both are extremely talented metalsmiths in Maine with a devoted following. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I would like to start with a very important question. What about your work makes you happy?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'll start, I guess.
Okay.
I love the transformation of taking a sheet of metal, cutting it, forming it, and putting it together, and it becomes a piece of jewelry to wear. It's just like magic. That makes me happy.
I would have to say that I like the transformation of metal from the hammer textures that I use. So I think that's my favorite part would be transforming big bulky pieces of metal and forming them into shapes and using textures and old hammers. So I would say that transformation is important.
Most artists we work with at The Good Supply are inspired by nature and Maine. That's clearly true for the two of you. What do you have to say about the role your environment plays in your artwork?
Interesting. I find that nature and the environment that we live in Maine and the coast is just, it's an all-encompassing energy that you feel. It's almost at times it's not one thing that inspires you. It's just being part of the air that you breathe here that's cleaner and the environment that is just so vast and it's quiet, our accessibility to mountains and trails and water and obviously beach stones that you can forage for, but everything else that you can forage for and grow. So I think the whole inspiration is more like a metaphysical part of your body that just, it inspires you to just be better, to do better and explore. You try to represent certain textures and certain shapes, but I'm not a representational person, so I don't create a flower or I don't create a leaf, but I create textures and things that are reminiscent of those to me. And then the oxidization and things like that actually make things feel as though they're a little older or have some patina and some age to them. So,
Don't you? Yeah. I think it's a lot too when you start getting into the effect, the feeling of it. Yeah. Although my work has more representational, but it's more of that feeling you get from it, other than trying to make it exactly what it looks like to be a real flower or a real texture. It's just to bring that, it evokes that sense of growth or texture and depth and everything. So, and that's what I think the environment does. It really brings it.
I agree with that.
Let's talk about process. Can you tell us something about how you translate an idea, an image in your mind into reality?
So I have it in my head and I just start cutting and forming and pulling stones out and I lay it all out and then yes, this works, no, okay, and just keep working at it like that. I had a piece just recently that has been in my mind for probably 4 years, and I finally did it. And it was just working. I love to do neck cuffs, and it was based on the dogwood flower and leaves, and I just jumped in and just started forming flowers and textures, and I love all of the elements, and I kind of played with the branches, and I just work until it's right. And there's a balance that happens visually for me, and so yeah, that's how I do it.
Good.
I'm definitely a move metal person. My hammer and the material are what drives me. I will choose stones, and now that I've been doing the gemstones for a while, and even when I did the beach stones, my format was the same. I would put all the stones out on the table, and I would pick the stones first. The piece evolves from the stone. The stone tells me how it needs to be handled, how it needs to be shown, what idiosyncrasies it has or what highlights it needs, and the size builds from there. And then at times, some of those pieces that I thought might be a ring might be a necklace. I might take something I thought would be a large pendant and make it into a ring. I've made some really big pieces, and I find that it was the right move. So I think that allowing the stone to speak, building the metal behind it, is my process. And even when I don't include a stone, the metal always, the size of the metal determines determines the project, determines where the metal's going to go, how much hammer I have to use, and how I shape it. And yeah.
I think, even though stones are used, gemstones, beach stones, all of it, it's the metal.
Yeah.
It's
the metal.
it's that warmth of silver.
Yeah. And then add a spark of gold in it.
Exactly, which is even better.
So, yeah.
Because I wasn't formally trained as a metalsmith jeweler, I don't find that there's really any right or wrong unless I've figured out that there is an actual technical reason that something cannot be done. I say, why not?
You have to trust that all of how you've gotten to where you are now, each time that you build new things and make new things, they build more strength and more confidence in the way that you move through life. And I think that's a life lesson as well.
Yeah. Some of my work I think is very tedious, but I love it. And I think you're crazy if you want to try to do it.
You have a lot of patience. There are a lot of things that you make that I would never think I could possibly accomplish.
So your friendship is very special. I didn't know that mentorship was involved in this. Please,
Yes.
You two are a pair. I met you as a pair, and then I have a co-curator at the Good Supply, Liz Martone, and so we talk about that dynamic duo element and how life is more fun when you have a friend to work with. And
True.
so
Yes.
true.
Very
Yes.
true. I think it's important to have someone that's connected somehow artistically or in an industry that you're in that you can bounce ideas off of, and that's someone you know is totally frank and honest with you. And the collaboration, when it works, it just works. It's honestly like a good marriage. It really is. It's a strong friendship or a mentorship situation is like a good marriage. And I think those things are very important. I think that it's imperative to continue to stay fresh, and it takes a lot of effort to do that on your own. But when you've got that sounding board, I think it's brilliant.
And when you get, creative ideas flowing, you just never know when all of a sudden that element, that thing that you've been mulling around but not really knowing that you've been thinking about it. And so it's that energy and the back and forth of like, oh yeah, and then yes, do that, ooh, and then try this, or yes, go with it. Like, even though you've been a little uneasy or whatever, it's just so supportive, and it's really the best.
Yeah, I agree. I think you feel like you have less limits because of it.
that's nice.
That helps.
That's stronger together.
Yeah.
Definitely.